where Alicent is discussing with Viserys, who's clearly out of his mind in bed, just mumbling and rambling on. Let's talk about the intentions. Do you think Alicent intentionally misconstrued his words and took them for something else so she could say that this was his desire, what she's about to, bring forward in next episode? Or do you think it truly was an accident? What do you think the intentions were in this moment between Alicent and Viserys and this conversation that just went sideways?
My thoughts on that, it was a little bit of both. I think it was truly an accident, partially, based on what I'll revert back to we discussed in episode 4. Remember when Alicent was a child and Viserys decided to go get drunk during Aegon's name day because Viserys, even though he's been better than all our other candidates, he exactly hasn't been Jaehaerys either. He decides to go get trashed and feels sorry for himself and goes and rambles on about the prince that was promised, and also says, he thought that if he had a boy, all this stuff would happen. And of course, he did talk about at one point where maybe he was wrong. So I think that's where Alicent might have had the idea here. It might have been in her head, oh shit. But at the same time, I think a lot of it also plays into, you've had all this stuff with Otto and the Milk of the Poppy, and Otto has been playing the influencer role very well here. Even going back to the very beginning, remember where go see the king tonight and wear one of your mother's old dresses. Kind of he's definitely played quite the influencer role and has set into her mind that Aegon should be king. So what I think happened here, and this is just my opinion, I think Alicent heard what she wanted to hear because of her previous memories with Viserys in that moment, where they were talking on Aegon's name day and he was drunk by the fire talking about the prince that was promised and if he made a mistake and how he wanted to be a dreamer. And I think she heard in her mind, honestly, that Viserys decided he made a mistake and Aegon should be king because that's what she wanted to hear. I think it was her way of actually convincing herself this is what he wanted. So what I'll say is I don't think it was intentional or we're going to overthrow Rhaenyra, because at the same time, if that was really the case, then I won't go into things in next episode, but there are things that happen where she kind of, is against some things. And so I think this was her moment to kind of, in her mind, convince herself that Aegon should be king so that it all works out for the better. So in Alicent's mind, everyone's happy with a happy ending, which isn't exactly the way this would play out. What's your opinion?
So I'm going to read the quotes between Viserys and Alicent one more time, go through it quickly. Viserys says to her, "I'm sorry, but you wanted to know if I believe it to be true." And again, Viserys thinks he's speaking to Rhaenyra because they had the conversation earlier in this episode about the prince that was promised in Aegon. Alicent says, "Believe what to be true, my king?" Viserys says, "Don't you remember? Aegon." Alicent says, "Our son?" Viserys says, "His dream, the song of ice and fire. It is true, what he saw in the north. The prince that was promised." Alicent says, "I don't understand, Viserys." And Viserys replies, "The prince." She says, "Prince Aegon." And he says, "To unite the realm against the cold and the dark, it is you. You are the one. You must do this. You must do this." And Alicent says, "I understand, my king." Motherfucker, no, you did not understand. You literally said...
Yeah, that's true,
You said a couple sentences ago, "I don't understand, Viserys," because the moment Viserys says his dream, the song of ice and fire, it is true what he saw in the north, the prince that was promised, none of that applied to her son at all. None of that. Like, what was Aegon in the north, and what did he see up there? And what does Aegon's dream have to do about anything? So at the end, she says, "I understand, my king. I think you did a good job of explaining the end all be all." She just heard what she wanted to hear. Like, that itself, there's no way that you can draw that conclusion from the words that you were speaking back and forth with Viserys, other than that's just what you want to hear. And the only thing I could think of is when he says, "It is you. You are the one. You must do this." She's thinking, oh, he's leaving it to me to make the decision on how best to proceed and unite the realm against the cold and the dark. So what he wants me to do is make my choice here that I think it would be best for it. And you know what? I think my son Aegon, and he mentioned Aegon when he was talking, so that must be it. He must be. She just drew a conclusion out of just like grasping at straws and putting them together and calling it a Corvette. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on there, but so intentionality is tough to determine. If she just stopped and thought about how none of that shit made any sense at all as it pertains to her or to their son, she could have just been like, you know what, this is probably just nonsense rambling from an old man that's dying on milk of the poppy that I gave him, and I know that it kind of gets you all loopy. If she would have thought about that for 10 seconds, we probably wouldn't be thinking about this, because she'd just be like, you know what, like, I can't take any of that for certainty. He's just out here rambling on. So, no. I think very much is a case of she heard what she wanted to hear, and she was going to take that and run with it, so that way no one could come back and be like, wait, no, you couldn't, that's not what happened here. So, yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it.